Hello everyone, in this video we'll be looking at the newer NS4S softbox for the 660 LED light. We'll start off with a quick unboxing. It looks like everything is packaged nicely just in one little carrying case. Looks like the first thing we have in here is the grid. It's very tightly compact, so it's hard to tell for sure. Then this should just be the actual diffuser cloth, of course. Looks like the only other thing in the bag is the manual. So according to the manual, the first thing you actually want to do is lower the kind of screws on the side to be in the lower holes on the light. So this was a bit difficult to do with only two hands, of course. So if you can have someone help you out, I think it definitely makes it an easier process, as you can see. These little rubber O-rings kept falling down and it was all sorts of a hassle. But yeah, essentially you just want to take out the screws, put them in the lower holes. And what this will do is allow the light to kind of swing a bit more and have just more space overall for the softbox to go around it. Opening up the box itself here, you can see that it is just a pretty solid little frame. So you essentially just unfold it, and then it does have this kind of metal reflective material inside, of course, which just reflects the light down and kind of pushes it out the front. So you can just use the Velcro to attach the box on this side, and it will essentially just create a frame that goes around the light. We also have this kind of hood piece that goes over the back, but we'll show you more on that during the actual installation. And towards the back, we also have these little buckles. That's kind of how it secures. So the combination of the hood and the buckles is how it actually secures to the light. For the actual installation, the next thing you want to do is kind of open these barn doors. The barn doors go on the outside of the hood, so it is nice that you don't have to take them off in order to use this, but you will want to open them just to make sure that they're out of the way for the actual installation. I think it's kind of helpful to use them to sort of support the box, just so it sort of holds you while you actually secure the buckles and the hood. So I recommend doing that just to kind of help you out a little bit. But once you have those in position, you will want to kind of reach down and grab the buckles and then secure the buckles over the back. The buckles were also a little bit tricky to get on my own as it kind of kept falling down. As you can see, they kind of fell off one side, and I tried to get the other side fell off and all of that. But looking back on it, I think I could have used the barn doors to support a little bit better, so I recommend doing that. And once you have the box secure, the next thing is putting this actual hood over the back. This just kind of secures it all together and sort of covers the panel. And it does have little spots for the screws as well that again just kind of help support it. So you still have full access to all the controls and everything, of course, but it is very nice to have this on just for extra support. Getting into the next part, this is just the white diffuser cloth, so we can go ahead and open this up. It does have some pretty big creases in it, just of course because it came packed like this, but that shouldn't affect the light distribution or anything. You can kind of iron it out if you want to, but I don't think it's a huge deal. There is Velcro on all sides of it, so to attach it, we just kind of push it alongside the outside of the box. The outside of the box is this kind of soft material that catches the Velcro pretty well, so it's not an exact science, but it does essentially just stick onto the sides of the box. The final piece is this little grid attachment, of course, that comes super small but then stretches out to be a bit bigger. This one is actually kind of stretchy and just kind of like a bungee material on the outside, so it will just go around the box, which is interesting. Most other ones I've seen actually like Velcro on, similar to the diffuser. They just want to go ahead and line up the tabs on the top left of the box, and then it will just kind of stretch around the outside of the box. So very, very easy to take on and off. That's definitely the easiest part of this process. So once it's all installed, this is just kind of what it looks like. You can see that it definitely changes the appearance of the light overall. It looks much more professional in my opinion, but it does have a just nice little hood around the back, so you're able to see all your controls and everything still. And then the front, of course, has this grid. The grid is definitely optional, just depends on how directional you want the light to be. I'll probably end up not using it, but it's just to show you what it looks like when it's on. In terms of actual performance, of course, the idea of this box is to just make light a lot less harsh. So you should, in theory, have just a lot less shadows. It should just be a lot less reflections potentially, and just overall a much softer light falling onto your subjects. One negative side of this, of course, is that you do get a lot less light overall since it is being diffused. It is less direct, but is also much less bright. And one thing I noticed with this one especially is that the grid box does make it a lot dimmer. It is significantly less bright than not having any box at all, which I was a bit surprised by. So with the whole setup, I would say it maybe is 30% of the light that you would have without anything on it. And then taking off the grid, you might get up to like 60%, though that is, of course, a significant decrease in just the overall brightness. So that is definitely one negative side of this. The light is softer, but the overall brightness is definitely much lower. I'll show you the differences with an actual subject here just to give you a good idea. This is including the grid and the softbox, and then this is what it looks like with nothing on, so just the bare light. So you can see that it's definitely a lot brighter, but it's also a lot harsher. Just for another comparison, this is what it looks like with just the softbox but no grid. And this is with the grid installed. So you can see that the kind of light does change a bit, but the biggest thing for me is that it is very, very dim with that grid on there. So I probably won't end up using the grid unless for some specific situations, but when you want a more focused light, it can be useful. So overall, I am very happy with this box. It did take a little bit to install, but once it's installed, it definitely makes a big difference in the quality of light. It is a bit dimmer, as I said, but that's pretty common with most softboxes. So you do get a little bit less brightness, but instead you get a much softer, easier light that definitely looks better on your subjects. So it's definitely a worthwhile trade-off in my opinion.